Welcome to the Circuit of Success Podcast.
The Circuit of Success Podcast.
With your host,
Brett Gilliland. Brett Gilliland, Visionary Wealth Advisor.
the Circuit of Success Podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome to the Circuit of Success. I'm your host, Brett Gilliland. Today, I've got Katie Collier with me. Katie, what's going on?
Not much. I'm here and I'm excited.
You're here and excited. We're excited to have you.
Thank you.
Break away from the restaurant to get over here.
The restaurant and the 5-year-old.
And the 5-year-old. That's the hardest part.
That's
the
the
5-year-old. Right?
Yeah.
We got to get Katie's pizza and pasta to Illinois.
I get asked so much. I mean, everyone says O'Fallon, Illinois, so
Right.
I know. I might do a couple laps
We'll do
while I'm
this.
here.
You heard it here, folks, right here. No, we won't hold you to that, but
See
it's
if
a
I
great
see any
community.
for rents.
Yes. We can help you with that. Well, you are Katie Collier. You're the owner of Katie's Pizza and Pasta. You have an amazing new location at Ballpark Village. Holy
Yeah.
crap.
Wow. That's really cool.
I saw
Yeah.
you there on opening day, and
did.
we talked, and I've been back a couple times, and it's phenomenal. I mean,
It's
it's
so
just
cool.
the coolest thing ever. You got to be
Just-
so proud.
Yeah, just to be right next to the stadium and that energy,
Yeah.
it's really great. And the space is huge,
Yes.
and we just went all out.
Yeah.
So
It's so well decorated. It doesn't feel like you're in downtown St. Louis.
no, I don't think so.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
So you've done a great job. Well,
Yeah.
if you can, we could talk about that all day, I'm sure. But if you can, I always like to start every podcast with what's made you the person you are today, which is a very big, loaded question, I know.
Yeah.
But you've got a hell of a story. So if you can,
My
let's
gosh,
start
we all do.
peeling back that onion layer and let's talk about who Katie Collier is.
Obviously, parents are very key.
Yeah.
I have some really unique, crazy ones. My mom's not crazy. My dad's passed, so I'm allowed to call him crazy.
Okay, you can be crazy now.
But crazy in a good way. Just really unique, wonderful people. And then I think going through some painful experiences. One of my dad's quotes was, "Pain is the only teacher," you know. And so I've been through some stuff with addiction and losing people and all the things that we all go through in life. And I think tried to learn my lessons from those, and they definitely made me who I am today.
Well, you're pretty open about your story, so
Yeah.
I don't feel like I feel like there's a lot of questions I can ask because it's all things I've read about anyway. So
Yeah.
But talk to our listeners about that because I think your story is amazing because they see you now, right? And I didn't
Yeah.
know all the stuff about you before. I just knew this Katie, and she owned this restaurant. It's awesome, and she's
Yeah.
gotten into frozen pizzas now and other things all over the country. And so you hear this amazing story, these super successful businesses in a business that's really hard to be successful, right?
Right.
So you're doing a great job, but they don't see the Katie at 15 years old and 17 and 25, right?
Right.
So if we can, let's talk a little bit about that. So you worked at a restaurant, 15 years old,
Yeah. Well, I dropped out of high school,
Yes.
dropped out, and then started working in restaurants.
and never went back and got your education, right?
No, I did not.
Yeah. Right. So basically a sophomore in high school.
Yeah, which I think I'm kind of smart, but there's things that I do not. You can tell. You're like, oh, she
You did not
did
go
finish
past
math
sophomore year of
class.
high school. Okay. Thank God for iPhones now, right? We can ask
Right.
Siri or whoever to
I
do
can
everything.
do all of that.
so.
But I did start working,
Yeah.
and I got into restaurants for a couple of reasons. One was they take anybody; you don't need a degree.
Yep.
And number two, I had an aunt, Zoe Robinson, who owned restaurants, and she was very successful. And so I was like, well, without a degree, I can follow in those footsteps. So yeah, but I learned so much about life in restaurants,
you do,
and
don't you?
started really early, so I had a leg up on everybody. I
right,
think,
yeah.
yeah.
I was a bartender in college, and I thought it was one of the best jobs. And you do learn a lot about people.
You learn a lot about people
Even
and
stuff you don't wanna know.
problem solving. I know. Problem solving and multitasking and just the whole, it's like everything. Yeah.
And then, so 15 to 24, but you stayed working in the restaurant business. And then it was at 24 years old, you started your first restaurant, right?
Yeah. And in between there, I did live in Italy.
Okay.
So that's where
Yep.
the inspiration came from. My mother's an artist, and she ran a study abroad program in Florence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so she had an apartment there, and she's like, if you can, save up for a plane ticket and spending money, you can come live with me. So she lived there off and on for maybe like, I don't know if it's between 5 or 10 years, but many years. And we would go and spend time with her there. Yeah, and
Hence
that's
the
where
feel of Katie's Pizza and
yeah,
Pasta.
and that's where I
Ballpark
fell in
Village.
love with really cool Italian food, the real stuff. And I wrote a business plan at 20 actually for
Okay.
Katie's Pizza after going to Italy for the first time. And I actually went and found a space in the Loop, got an architect to do like a simple space plan, and wasn't even old enough for a liquor license. And obviously,
Kind of need that for a
yeah.
restaurant. Yeah.
But nobody obviously would invest in me. But the idea started at 20. And then by 24, I had worn my father down,
Yeah.
as we do, as daughters do. And said, can you please, like, we got to do this. And I was newly sober at 24 for the first time. That's the key word there.
For
The first time.
Yeah.
Not
so
the
15
final
to
time.
24, you were.
Yeah, I was drinking and using, and it was horrible. But I was young, so it like kind of went unnoticed,
Yeah,
you know, because
right.
everybody's
Just
kind of a
partying.
mess.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But I knew that it was bad enough to get sober at 24, and then my father had been sober since I was 2, so he had been sober for like
Basically your whole life.
my whole life. So he was really proud, and I was like, at the time he was in the junk business growing up, so he was a salvage junk guy. And he's like, well, let's start with, we can open a little junk store together. So we did. We called it, it had no phone number, it had no name. It was just this weird, like, bad antique store. And after doing that for about a year, I wore him down and said, come on, let's do this pizza place. And there's these really amazing ingredients in Italy that nobody's using in the US or St. Louis. Like, really, no one knew what prosciutto was when I opened up in 2008. We had to explain it to everybody. Yeah, now with the
That was very
internet,
common, yeah.
now it's everywhere. And I was doing squash blossoms and figs and stuff. So he said, okay, let's do it. I'm going to invest $50,000 to build it. And I mean, the time I thought that was so much money because I had no money.
Right.
So I thought, that's great. We can totally do it. And we actually did. We just bought the pizza oven. And then we just moved all the furniture from the junk store into
restaurant.
yeah. And I don't know if you ever went to that one.
I don't think I have.
Okay,
no.
but every table and chair was different and mismatched.
Oh, yes, I have.
Yeah,
Yes, I have.
yeah.
Yes, I totally know that. Yeah.
It really was a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
And there was a issue, which was, I'm gonna put up the 50, but I'm gonna keep 100%. And at the time, I was like, he's like, you're newly sober, you're 24. We're not, it's my money. This will be, work your way, sweat equity, and eventually I'll give you some. And he never did, but it was like the best thing ever because
You'd earn it.
here I am, I'd earn it, and here I am today. And I think if he would have given it all to me, I would never understand what goes into it.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Right. I tell my boys that all the time. Like, my oldest is getting ready to go to college in a year, and then he wants to get in the finance business. And I said, you need to go work somewhere else for a while.
For sure.
For sure. Go get your butt kicked somewhere else, and then you can come back maybe some other day. But
just for your relationship.
Exactly.
But so we opened up. It was a huge success because, again, I was doing like all this crazy stuff on pizza, and it was all about, these regional specialty ingredients that I had learned about when I lived there. And then my drinking got really, really bad because I had all this attention. I thought I was really special.
Cool girl, cool girl on the block.
Yeah. And also the stress and the pressure and the whole thing, it was too much for me. Yeah. And I just spiraled, got kicked out of the business.
Fired by your own dad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a tough conversation.
It's happened many times. By the 4th or 5th time, we were used to it.
Here we go again. I'm getting fired.
And then the spiral got so bad that I ended up homeless, like nothing. Like no car, no phone, no money. Everything I owned, I had in a grocery bag. And I would just carry that everywhere I went. And my family and friends, like, they were all done, like totally done. And I remember I always talk about this. I finally decided to get sober when I was like, Mom, come on, like, let me stay with you. I have nowhere to go. I've been like,
Did you live in shelters basically, or
I
like
was
literally
just
on the side of the road?
I know I was just living with like
Whoever.
couches, you know, and then but she was like, no, that's it, we're done. And so I think when everyone's turned their back on you, you got to look at yourself, turn inward. And that was amazing because, you know, those really dark, painful places are the only places really that you do look at yourself. Yeah. So I did. And I was like, okay, where am I going to go? And I found a halfway house on South Broadway. And I went and checked in there and I lived there for 6 months. Yeah. It was a really bad part of town.
Yeah. I read someplace, maybe, was there a Hannibal, Missouri stop too?
There was.
Like there was
for a couple of days.
Like chain smoking cigarettes or something I read.
Just in a room. And I was, that was right before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up in there. There's a state-run treatment center in Hannibal. Yeah. I'd been to treatments before. I'd been in hospitals and treatment centers before, the nice treatment centers. And this was the end of the stage where you go to the state-run one. And then finally you end up in the halfway house. So, and all of the women that were in the halfway house were out of prison or just off the streets. It was not like someone's neighbor who just had a drinking problem. Like, these were people with absolutely nothing left. Yeah. So lived there for 6 months, took the bus to Katie's Pizza and got my job back, and, you know, just did that until
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. So what do you think? I'm always fascinated. My wife and I, we had a date last night, and this actually came up. We were talking about, I don't even remember what we brought up, but we were talking about something and how life can go many directions, right? But you have kids that grew up super successful families, right? Had everything, and they grow up and can be deadbeats, right? Mm-hmm. You have kids that grew up super successful families and continue the success. You have people, right? You see where I'm going. You have people that had nothing that were successful. You have people and you took something to a level that most don't, right? One, I think I saw, 95% of people don't recover from alcoholism and drugs.
Yeah, I think that's a very generous statistic too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 95 to 98, 99%, right? Don't. You did. You also came from nothing, again, on my research.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it nothing, because you look at, there's nothing, but I would say, there were times we didn't have a car. Yeah. Like, my dad's house, we all slept on a mattress on the ground with no furniture for a couple of years. Yeah. And eventually, like, there would be good times and everything. So I wouldn't say, I hate to say like dirt poor, but I would say, I never got a car when I was 16. I never went on any trips, hand-me-down clothes, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Which is, again, you've taken it now to this level, right? So what is it about you, do you think, that's inside you that said, you know what, I'm going to take it to this level. I can do this.
I'm an optimistic person. Like, I think I'm just really optimistic. And I've seen, my dad was just such a tough guy. He was so tough. Yeah. Really tough. And he always made it work. And he always like hustled really, really hard. Yep. So I think
that grit, that hustle is everything, right?
Yeah.
In any business.
Like, he would do anything, he was really tough.
Would you also believe this statement that if I said all pizza places had to close tomorrow, right? That'll never happen. But if they all had to close, you had to go to a completely different business, pick the business, you would still make it, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Because it's all really about problem solving, managing people, inspiring people, and really like marketing. I'm really good at marketing. Yeah. The food is great. I mean, I'm all in about the food.
Yeah. The ingredients, everything.
Yeah.
Great.
But no, it's really about leadership, because I have 300 people that work for me. And if you're not a good person to work for or inspire, like, I can't be in three locations and a frozen pizza place making stuff. I need these people to help. So,
and you can't touch all 300 people at the same time. I mean, you may go days and weeks without talking to them, right? Yeah. No, exactly.
No, I want them to do it. It's so cool to see people do really empowered, and they're like, there's people that have been with me for 10 plus years that really feel like they're
Yeah, their family.
Their family. Yeah. Yeah.
I think as a leader, right, we have to show the vision, build it, and then get out of the way.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, getting out of the way is the hardest lesson for, I think, business owners, entrepreneurs. Maybe get it, but
Yes.
yeah, you got to get out of the way, and you got to let them fail, and you got to pay the price to let them fail, and then they become so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go again back to the early days of the restaurant, and you had to raise some money.
Yeah.
Right? You had to do that. That's not easy to do.
No.
So you raised money, and a lot of it was on a handshake.
Oh yeah.
Right?
So I did.
'Cause you had, again,
Yeah.
you didn't have really much. Banker's not gonna be like, hey, here's $1 million.
Right.
Right.
Right. No.
No.
Not to me. They didn't. Yeah. They're like, do you even have a bank account? How do we?
Right.
Where do we put this money? So I did so I was trying to figure out how to raise money. I'm really into marketing, and I really know that you need to get attention
Yeah.
to find these people. So someone had mentioned crowdfunding. I looked into it, and I thought, okay, that's really great. Not so much for the amount of money I'm going to raise on Kickstarter, because it's not enough to build a restaurant. But I'm going to get a lot of attention for this and attract the investors. So that was really my motivation behind it, because I just didn't know anybody or know how to find the people, because I wasn't in that world.
Right.
So I did a Kickstarter campaign, and we raised $40,000, which was, enough for a wood-fired pizza oven. And then I put at the top of the page, for traditional investment opportunities, contact Katie's Pizza at Gmail. And we got tons of people. Wow. Yeah, because it was right when crowdfunding.
You had to tell a story though, right?
Oh, we told a great story,
yeah.
and I wrote a great, business plan, and like the whole page was beautiful with lots of pictures and videos and like what we were trying to do. And yeah, it was really cool.
So people with money see that, and
with money see that, and they also know that I've had this restaurant, quote unquote.
Yeah, right. You and your dad had it. But, yeah.
For like 4 or 5 years, and they love that restaurant, and they love me and all of this stuff. So they found it, and we got all these people. A couple became IOU handshake loans, and we paid them back in 2 years, which was great. And then the last piece of the puzzle was Michael Cupstis, and he had just retired from Panera. He was the vice president of franchise, and he took them from like 50 locations to like 2,000. Wow. So he's a really talented, amazing person. And he said, I'm just come back to me if I want to have equity. And we were really holding off. But at the end, we needed a little bit more, and we knew if we were going to do it with anybody, it'd be him. Yeah. So we sold him 20%, and he was the best partner ever. Yeah. Just such a wonderful person, and I'm still really good friends with him. I ended up buying him out a couple of years ago, but we still talk all the time.
Well, it's so big to have a mentor like that too, right?
Yeah.
Who's done it.
Yeah, and he just was such a fan, and he always said, I've always wanted to work with you. I followed you, and so it was cool. Yeah, it was really great.
And I think
he gave us a lot of credibility with banks too.
Oh yeah, that
we just brought in my Mr.
Cupstis. I'll open the door, but you're gonna go in and sit right next to me and just talk, and I'll be quiet.
Yeah, and I learned so much from him about that world and leases and
Well, and again, we talked about education earlier, but you think your business education will blow. I mean, no offense to the people that are in, education, but that business degree you have,
still getting
every single day is priceless.
Yeah, I'm getting it. Yeah, every single day, and I've had a business fail, Vero, my meal kit company.
Yeah.
And then a new frozen pizza business and scaling, and it's a lot. It's really cool.
And I saw a video maybe on social media, you and your brother making some calls or going to a conference or something, wasn't it? And you gotta sell
for
it
the
to get in the
frozen
grocery
pizzas.
store, right?
Yeah, you've got to get. So we're in 400 stores across the country. Our goal is to be in every grocery store in the next 5 years, and it's totally going to happen. Yeah, but we have to go to these expos, and you meet with the grocers and the buyers and the brokers and everything, and so that's a whole nother world.
That's crazy.
And then we've got a beverage coming out.
Nice.
Yeah.
What kind of beverage?
So we're known for it's in production right now. So we did all of the everything, designed the can and the recipe and everything. Our watermelon cocktail, this is what we're known for. So that, and then a basil margarita.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Can't wait.
I know.
That's
so
awesome.
those will be in Deerbergs, and those will be in selling out of the restaurants.
That's cool.
Yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Walk-up window. You can buy one.
I know. Well, we have one.
I know. So let's talk about how important it is to think big.
Yeah.
I think thankfully I think I've thought big most of my career, and I think that's really helped. When I think about your locations and what you've done, I keep bringing up Ballpark Village because it's new. I've obviously been to the other ones as well, but you have to think big,
Yeah.
but you also have to believe big and believe in yourself.
Yeah.
So when you hear those things, what comes to mind for you?
I think it just gets the energy of yourself and everyone around you moving in that direction, so it's inevitable that it's going to happen. That's the way I look at it. Like, you can call it manifestation, and I don't think it's like a magical thing, like you wish something and then you get someone waves a wand and it happens. I think what's happening is you're moving your life and your energy and people in that direction, and it's amazing how it just kind of happens. And really thinking so big. I mean, if you even get close enough to, or not, or just short, you're still pretty successful. Yeah.
And you said it confidently and humbly, but also I think you just say it because this is how you believe. Like, I'm going to be in every grocery store in America.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? And you say it, and you like, I believe it, right? I can feel the energy. I believe you believe it. I believe it. And so talk about that though. Why?
Because I like I said, I just believe that I'm moving my energy in that direction, and I also know that really I just feel like anything's possible. And you just have to have that positive attitude and keep trying. And I think entrepreneurs really just never give up. So if you never that's how we're successful, is because everyone else just gives up.
You're exactly
We're
right.
not smarter. We just keep going. It's like when I did the business plan at 20, but everyone said no for 4 years. A lot of people would be like, okay, that's enough no's.
Nobody's going to do this. This is a bad idea.
Yeah. And it just didn't.
It's funny. I had this discussion all the time with my kids, and now it's the old dad thing. Oh, here we go again. But it's the old, how do you spell impossible? Have you heard that before?
No.
So how do you spell impossible? It's I'm possible.
Right.
So I'm possible. And so I always try to tell it to my kids, and I just believe that and you said your energy is going there. So when you say my energy is going there, what does that mean to you?
I think subconsciously I just start to act in a certain way, or start to accomplish certain things and start to move in that direction of achieving that goal. I think your subconscious is very powerful. And so you have to say stuff and believe stuff. And then all of a sudden you start to make a turn in that direction. Yeah.
I just read something the other day on some entrepreneur deal, and this guy, I don't believe this comment, but he said, don't tell anybody your plans because there's so many negative people out there that just shut you down.
I don't ever understand that.
See, I don't either. So I'm glad you agree with that.
Or we need to, don't tell anybody because, they need to sign. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Who cares?
Right.
Tell everybody.
Well, I think the grit.
I think also you have to tell everybody, because you never know who's going to say, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I want to do too. Or I believe in you. Yeah.
And I think too, the grit, what we were talking about earlier, is that even if you do tell somebody about this new cocktail thing you're making, and I get the idea, do I really have the stamina to go out and do it and build it and make it happen? No.
It's so funny. We have our dough recipes and all of our recipes posted in the kitchen, and a manager that we had hired was like, oh my gosh, you can't have that. Someone's going to take it and go, I'm like, go ahead.
See ya.
There's so many levels to this. It's the people. It's the story of our family. It's, everything. And you can't recreate it. You can go open a great pizza place, but it's not going to be.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and you, right? Not to make you brag, but it's like, I mean, you have to be part of that. You're the face person.
Right,
you know?
right.
I mean, hence the name, but you also have to be there, and you're shaking hands at the front of the house and the back of the house. If you don't have the front of the house good, then it doesn't matter how good your pizza is.
None of that. No, they can. I totally agree with you. And I think you also need to talk about it, because then, you do meet people that can help you.
Yeah. So as a busy entrepreneur, a mom, all these things, how do you stay in the game? Like, how do you?
I am so healthy.
Okay.
It's obnoxious.
I love it. Yeah.
Because my father was epileptic. Okay. My whole life. And then he had brain damage from the epilepsy. Wow. And he had a lobotomy. I mean, it was like so sad. So he was disabled. And for some reason, the brain and just understanding the brain was so obviously very important to me, because I was trying to heal him and also understand it and worried about myself. But I just know how much health the brain it needs. We're like athletes. Yeah. We have to fire on all cylinders. And so you have to do everything you can to stay healthy. So I just eat really well, I exercise, and then I meditate a lot. Yeah.
I love meditation.
And I write like with a pen and paper, because you cannot just type on the computer. It doesn't do the same thing. You have to have the pen and paper. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but have you heard about that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you look behind you and this journal. I mean, I have journaled since July of 2005.
I have journals everywhere. Yeah. I mean, my child is going to be left with some crazy stuff.
Yes. And that's why I'm like, hopefully one day they'll read all this stuff. It's from, you'll see the whole reason visionaries even existing, like all this stuff. And I think that's powerful.
And then a lot of gratitude. So I write, I'm just big into that. So just writing gratitude lists, because life is so tough. So you got to kind of get your head together every day.
Amen. Yeah. So what kind of exercising are you doing?
I've got a trainer. So I guess it's like resistance training. I wouldn't call it weightlifting, but I would just call it, resistance training. And then I hike a ton.
Okay.
And then I do some yoga.
Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's your mission today? Like when somebody would ask you that question, what do you think you're here on earth for?
Gosh. Well, I think what I love right now so much is creating opportunities for people to like realize potential. So I love that part about the business. I think scaling is going to be really fun, because it's going to allow more of that to happen. And then, I think showing people, definitely the addiction stuff. I think showing people that there's a way out, there's a new life and all of that, inspiring people in that way is very important to me as well. Or whatever struggle you're going through.
How long have you been sober?
12 years of 13. No, 12.
12 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's still a battle.
No, it's not.
That's awesome. Yeah. Good for you. That's
I really don't think about it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
I don't know.
Think time. Do you spend much time thinking? How important is that to you?
Yeah. Every day. Every morning I get up at like 4:30.
Ooh.
Yep. Coffee.
God.
Meditation, clear it out, and then I start writing and thinking and visualizing, and I do it every day.
How do you meditate?
I like to do outside. Okay. I focus on like outside sounds, so birds, insects, and stuff like that. Yep. And then that's it.
So no app or anything that you use?
Sometimes I'll do like music, like meditation music, but no app. I've done Headspace before. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like there's a time limit on it. So then I'm focusing on when is the bell going to go off.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I started with Headspace, probably 12 years ago, 13 years ago, something like that. And I needed that because I didn't know what the hell meditation was. Right. And then as a guy, I'm like, oh man, I'm so wimpy. Like, I didn't tell anybody I'm doing meditation.
People think it's like a religious thing. I'm like, no, this is what we're all supposed to do.
Just the breathing. We're all shallow breathing,
Right. Clear out the brain for a little bit.
Do you do box breathing, like, four in?
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh
okay,
yeah. All of that.
All that. I like
All
it.
the crazy stuff.
I like it. I like it.
But I would say walking too is a really natural way to get into meditation. It's a really proven way because the rhythm of walking does something to your brain. So if you can't get there yet, just go on a walk. Yeah.
And in nature too, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about fear. I ask this question on almost every podcast, and it's the fears we put in our mind, right?
Yeah.
I think we all do, maybe. How many of those fears you put in your mind actually blew up to the magnitude you put them in your mind to be?
None so far. I mean, I think that's the thing is they don't actually happen.
That's the point of the question, right? Everybody sits here and they're like, they all pause and they're like, well, none of them, And it's like, well, but yet how many people are listening to this podcast right now or driving down the road here on the interstate and they have a fear, right? It's in their mind right now. This thing is going to happen.
One thing I always do, and I think when my father passed, it was such a crazy thing where I had to get really in the present moment. And when I got in the present moment, I realized that every time I'm in the present moment, I'm okay. Like, think about that. Every time you're okay. There's never been a time when you weren't okay.
So how do you do that?
I just remember that. And so I go, okay, just get here right now. Are you okay? Yeah. You've always been okay. So you're always going to be okay. Yeah.
So
you have to go by
talk to that person right now that's in the dumps though, right? I mean, they're in a room and they're just like, whatever. They happen to stumble across this podcast and they're like, yeah, but you don't understand my situation. It's I'm in the dumps. It's bad. I'm not going to get better, right?
The only thing that I can do or suggest to get out of it, the only thing that's ever worked for me or I've seen work for everyone I've offered it to, is just write down one thing you're grateful for. And when you write down that one thing, it leads to two, and then it leads to three, and you think you can't even write down one. And there's something that happens to you when you start to realize that there's a light, there's stuff to be grateful for, and it kind of proves that you're okay. Yeah, that's really the only thing that works.
I'm going to shameless plug here in my own journal that I gave you a copy of.
Yeah, thank you. I will fill it up,
the journal,
as I've told you.
And it is a gratitude worksheet. And in that gratitude worksheet, I love taking pictures. Okay, it probably drives my kids nuts. But I started doing this a few years ago, that every 90 days I'll go through and look at all the last 90-day pictures. And I write down right here, month one, exactly, went to Katie's Pizza and Pasta at Ballpark Village with the kids, right? Yeah. I'll literally write that down in my journal because I'm looking at the picture. Because how many times do we take pictures and we never look at them?
Oh, that's always a joke that I always say. I go, here's another picture I'm never going to look at.
So every 90 days, though, imagine if you go through those pictures and you write them down, and now I'm in a space every 90 days. I do the gratitude you'll see every day on my daily planner. Today I'm grateful for. And then, every 90 days, you go through that, and it's like, man, look how great life is. Like,
or look at all this stuff I've done.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you think like, oh, I'm not achieving enough. Yeah. I'm not doing enough. I'm not successful enough or whatever. And then you go and look. That's amazing. Okay,
so you got 3 months of that. And then you end with, this is what experiences can I schedule for the next 90 days? So now we got to be purposeful.
Oh my gosh. Love it.
What are the things we can put on our calendar? Because you're like me, I'm sure, that if you get so busy, you want to do that thing.
Yeah.
But if you don't put it on the calendar, it doesn't happen.
Right.
Right.
We know that about me.
Right. Yeah. And so now I got to put it on my calendar. So the next 90 days, what are the experiences I want to create in my life?
And how often do you do those things? Because you wrote them down. You probably do a lot of them.
Yeah, almost every one of them happens. Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's experiences, either I'm going to go with buddies on a golf trip, or it's something to do with my kids or something, whatever it is, they're there. And to your point, they happen because they're written down. And they go on the calendar.
And then your energy starts to move it in that direction. Yeah.
And I think the time we take to do those experiences allows us to be even better at work because we're recharging.
Well, that's really cool. I'm gonna try it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. When you hear the words future greater than your past, that is our mission statement. That is the journal. That is everything that we do here at Visionary, is helping people achieve a future greater than your past. What do you say about that?
Believe it right now. Yeah, you got to believe it. Like it's you got to, whatever you want in the future, believe it's happening now. And then, I
love it.
Kind of just set the stage. We're already in it.
Anything that you would want to publicly share that is, that's out there for you, that dream, that thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I believe in that, too, and I think you do as well.
Yeah.
These things that you want to go do, when you say them, they're out there in the universe.
Right. Well, I told you we're going to have our frozen pizzas everywhere. And then I really want to start to bring Katie's Pizza and Pasta to other markets. So, looking at Nashville, Kansas City, Dallas, and Denver.
Wow.
Yep. Those are kind of my top 4 right now. So I really, really want to do that. And then, I really would love to either write a book or do something around my story, and whether it's speaking or, like I said, because I want to inspire people who have addiction or struggles or whatever, that you don't need a college degree.
I love that.
Yeah.
What and so your passion today around that is what? Just purely helping individuals become better?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you can make a lot of money off of a book, so it's not money.
Right. Just sell a lot of books, make a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're doing Harry Potter or
That's
something.
true. Which we just went to Harry Potter Land down in Disney World, or I guess it
Yeah.
was in Universal. It's
Also,
crazy.
I think Carl Jung said, like, the best thing you can do for your psyche is to write down your story, and then your life starts to kind of become even better. You understand yourself a little bit better.
I
So,
think the legacy too. I mean, think again the stuff
Yeah.
that you've gone through and where you're at today. You mean people are out there that don't believe in Katie's dream, right? Meaning
Right.
if they're Katie,
yeah,
if somebody would have told you at 18 years old, this is what you're going to look like at X age,
right.
do you believe that? It's hard.
It's hard, very hard.
It's really
Yeah, no,
hard.
books are magical and they can really help. Yeah, people kind of see themselves. It's really, you become a mirror. You're just becoming a mirror for somebody else. Yeah.
Yep. What would you tell yourself if you could go back to that 20, 25-year-old Katie? What advice would you give her today?
Oh my gosh, I don't know what I would change. I would just say, hang in there and it's going to be okay.
Yeah. That's the exact advice I give myself. Like, it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
We're going to be all right. You're going to make it. It's going to be okay.
We
I still
always
tell
have
myself
been
that.
and we always will be.
That's right.
That's how I feel.
That's right. What? Where do our listeners find more of Katie Collier?
Well, I'm really big on Instagram. I love to post a lot of stuff about, all the stuff I'm talking about, my life, my daughter, my business. So I'm very transparent and vulnerable on that platform. So follow me there, Katie's Pizza and Pasta.
Yep.
And then you can we've got 3 locations in St. Louis, or we're in grocery across the country. And we also do e-commerce shipping anywhere in the U.S.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's a big deal.
katie'spizza.com. Yep.
Katie'sPizza.com. So you said transparent and vulnerable.
Yes.
Don't you believe that you have to be that way? To buy into the brand, right?
Right. Yeah, no, my father he would just tell you everything. He'd tell a stranger the whole deal.
If you're listening, I'm telling you.
And so I was just raised, what I saw was like, it would maybe offend 1 or 2 people, but the majority of the people would just be so like in love with the fact that there was a person whose like walls were down and then they would open up.
Yeah.
And he had so many friends and so many people that just were attracted to him because of that. So I saw that and I was like, oh, that's how you really can connect with people, is through that vulnerability, transparency, which is really just honesty.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on your which Instagram should I go to?
It doesn't matter. We can go to that one.
All right, we're playing our Instagram game. So pick a look at that little watermelon drink, man.
There it is.
So let's pick a number between 1 and 10.
9, always 9.
Why is that?
It's like the magical number. I don't know. Tesla said it was.
Oh, I like that. And then between 1 and 3.
3.
Okay, number 3. I do this game because it's called Lobster Thermidor. Look it up. The kids don't know, but we know. Soft opening at Ballpark Village. So it's a video of the guy doing something here with the lobster, I assume.
Yeah.
So talk us about that post.
Well, Ballpark Village is really cool because we've always had these tiny restaurants, and this has a big, beautiful kitchen where we can do all kinds of crazy stuff that we can't at the other places. So that is a beautiful lobster dish. It's Maine lobster split in half, and
looks
then
pretty good.
yeah, it's beautiful.
You got one item to order. What are you ordering?
I love steak. So we have a bistecca Florentine, which is a ribeye, and it's got fennel pollen and roasted garlic and balsamic, and it's really good.
Ugh.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going tonight. Another date. 2 nights. I just thought about this. My wife and I went on a date last night. We're going on a date tonight too. I think we're gonna
there
go.
you
We're gonna
go.
go to the restaurant tonight on the way to our
Ballpark
show.
Village and get a steak and a lobster.
All right, we're in. We'll do it. Katie, it's awesome having you. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you.
So much
This
fun.
was really fun. I'll do my quote. My dad's quote. There you go.
That's awesome.